Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome back to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition. It's episode 187, and thanks to everybody waiting in the chat because we had some technical difficulties as usual. Just kidding.
It's Gavin's fault.
Yep.
Well,
I take credit.
And his computer. It's more his computer's fault.
Yeah, I just guess I plugged something in differently, so all of my settings were just basically missing. So no audio, no video, no nothing. Anyway, good times. So so thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out for those watching. And for those listening, sorry for all that hullabaloo because you guys don't know what we're talking about. But it's okay. We got other stuff that's worth listening to. So we just want to say thank you to our sponsors, Order Solutions, the makers of ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and all your other favorite boxes. And then we have a few ways we can say thanks back to Order Solutions. Right, Grant?
We do. Yeah. So you could like and subscribe our videos on YouTube. We also have, as you probably know, a bunch of repos on GitHub. And if you have a chance, if you can go there and star our repos, that would help us out a bunch. You can also subscribe to our podcast on your podcast app and leave a review on there. You can sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, and we are releasing new content all the time on there. So signing up for that, that's another way you can help us. And be sure to check out, too, we've got a Box Life store where we've got a shop where you can buy different things, some merchandise that we've got out there. I think, what all do we got on there, Gavin? Is it like coffee mugs and stuff? The last time I checked, we did.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of shirts and everything. There's some cool stuff out there. The CommandBox shirt server up was a pretty big winner on the list, but there's all sorts of different stuff out there. So if there's something missing from there, let us know too. We can try and get some other stuff added. But just some cool designs. You know, if you want to look cool and show off some Box Life flair, you can do that at the Box Life store, which I'm posting in the chat as we speak. But they can also buy some orders books too. So we have the 102 ColdBox HMVC Quick Tips and Tricks up on Gumroad. And then we also have the Learn Modern CFML 100 in 100 plus minutes. It used to be in 100 minutes, but we've added more to it. So you guys can check that out for free online. But there's also paid editions if you want a ebook or a PDF or even a paper copy. So you guys.
I'm trying to remember with that with the 102 ColdBox Tips and Tricks. Was it just that we had 100, and then there was just 2 more that were just too good not to include?
I think that's the way he described it, yeah. So that's why we always keep teasing Brad about his CommandBox stuff. It's like, you got to get to 103 to beat Luis. But, yeah, he's like, I'm too busy making CommandBox and releasing videos about it, so someone else can write it. So we just need to get AI to just basically transcribe all those videos and put them as tips, and it'll be all right. So, but yeah, we just obviously need to thank our Patreon sponsors, because without them this wouldn't be possible. And we have 40 Patreons right now, but just some news, don't want to scare everybody, but we've got some updated goals. So the admin team's been on their retreat and been figuring out, you know, what we want to focus on this year and what our goals should be. And so we've updated our Patreons to try and help reach those goals. So the numbers are a little different. I think last week we had 100% of the podcast was fully funded, and we were on the way to doing some ForgeBox stuff. But they've looked at what we were doing and, you know, goals and budgets and everything else. And so now we've got 3 different goals. And the first one is the ForgeBox IO, and then we've got CommandBox, then we've got the podcast. So it sounds like we lost a bunch of Patreons in the last week, but that has not happened. We've just changed all the goals around, and the way the goals work mean that we've got some different percentages. So you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, so a few changes. Goal number 1 now, we are currently at 25%, and the goal is to help fully fund ForgeBox.io. So if you don't know about ForgeBox, that's where you can upload different packages and modules for your CFML applications. And we're currently at 25% for that goal. Our second goal, we're at 12%, and this is to fund the development of CommandBox. and so it can remain free and open source. And if you haven't used Command Box, or if you're wanting to try it, I can tell you it is incredible. It's a game changer, so definitely check it out if you can. And also, then we're at our third goal, which is currently, again, don't let the number frighten you, but it's 6%. And this is to fund this podcast. So, yeah, like Gavin said, it's nothing to alarm anyone. It's just some changes with the goals overall.
Yep. So basically, the first goal, once we reach that, obviously, then it's the numbers are cumulative or total, I guess. So the 6% of the third goal means once we get to the top of that, we would have funded first, second, and third goal. So it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange when you enter the data in there too. But anyway, so good news is.
Don't worry, Gavin had to explain it to me before we jumped on here. So even I was like, "What?"
Yep, and like I said, some of the numbers, it's like ForgeBox. We're using S3 a lot more for everything, and we've got more download costs and everything else. And so, so we updated some of this. But the good news is that we have 40 boxtacular or spectacularly boxy people that are supporting us, and we're definitely appreciate it, and we've got room for growth, and the more Patreons the better. So go to patreon.com/ordersolutions and you guys can find a package that helps you. So that is something that we're going to be working on too, is more little perks for Patreons and on everything else. So anyway, lots of good stuff going on there, but let's get into the news, because that's why you're here, I think. So, first bit of news, we've got the authentication bypass vulnerability in Mira CMS and Master CMS. So we've been kind of teasing you about this for a while, and I'm actually going to try and bring up the blog post real quick and share screen. But
you're going to brave it.
I'm going to brave it. Let's see what else can I break today. But the cool thing is this one means that it's actually out in the live, so we can actually go and see all the information about this vulnerability. And the cool thing is, in this blog post, is a timeline. And so for those of you that want to see, you can see how to replicate the vulnerability now, because that's live. But you can see sort of the timeline, and we've been bugging you about it for a few months, because over time, here's the timeline. So basically, this was reported way back in November. So in November they reported it. They got confirmation of that they received it from Mira and the Masses team. Then they established the time frame for the technical disclosure. And so basically the idea is that they disclose it privately so they can try to fix it. Then once they're done fixing it, then they have a 90-day disclosure that everyone's meant to basically find out about it, go fix it, go patch it, go update it before they release the information out in the wild. And so sort of see here.
What's the date that's coming out? Where they're actually going to release it?
That's this blog post right here tells you all about it.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. So this tells you how to actually go ahead and if you got a vulnerable site right now, someone could use this information to go and get into it. So it's one of those things that people don't like the security releases when they do pop it out there, because then people make script kiddies and go and attack everybody that doesn't have updated software. But at the same time, if you don't release it, well, I guess, I don't know. Guess there's pros and cons. But I mean, they do due diligence beforehand. But it's funny because some people basically will find the bug, collect the bug bounty, and then make software so people can go and abuse it. There's some bad people out there that do stuff like that. But anyway, so you can find out all the information in here, but the patches are there. Go get it checked out. If you're running Mira, I think there might be a fee to help get that remediated, but they do have the software fixed or available to fix. But Master CMS released it pretty quickly, and so good news is.
And they've given like a 90-day window prior to this, right? Where they've been letting everybody know, hey, you've got to patch your software.
Yep, exactly. And so it looks like in here, Mira emailed people and everything on 12/22, and then I guess they finally fixed it right in January 11th or something. And so so the patches were published, and this is basically when they actually say, hey, this is the issue. So they don't even notify people that there is an issue until they've already talked to people. So, but yeah, it's interesting, the workflow, but that's the way it works. The CVE stuff is pretty common. So
David says we were well warned. I agree, and also I think we've had it in our show notes for a while now. So, but it seemed to be a pretty big vulnerability. So,
For sure. We didn't
Yeah.
want to bug you too much, but that's why. So now you can get out there and you can find out all about all that good stuff. So, okay. And then State of the Union. So the 2023 is released, so you guys can go ahead and fill that out. Make sure you tell your friends and other developers that live in a whole. We want to reach everybody to get more information because we really use this information. And is CB Wire on this one? I wonder. I'll have to see.
I honestly don't remember when I took it. I swear that I took the survey, but I don't remember
Yeah,
if it was on there or not.
we do try and work with the guys over at TerraTech.
I haven't.
Brad and I have actually, given them some tips and whatever, and we sort of analyze it. Several podcasts last year, we talked about all the results from previous years, and we try and clean up the data and try to make it more relevant. So 'cause there's always new
Yeah.
stuff, but yeah. So go take
I don't
that
know
survey.
about you, but when I see the list of things, sometimes there's always like two or three things that I've never even heard of. And then I get a little bit of that fear of missing out. And I'm like, oh, well, what's this? I'm going to go Google it real quick, make sure I'm not missing out on something amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well that wraps up the news section here. So on to new releases and updates. And so what do we
Yeah,
got here?
we've had a big one in particular. So Command Box 5.8 was released. I actually was working with Brad down in Houston and saw him working on Command Box quite a bit. So he's put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this release, and it comes with a bunch of new features. And some of them, I took some notes here, some pretty cool stuff. So now Command Box bundles in several modules automatically. One of them being Command Box -cfconfig, also Command Box .env and the update checker. So what those do, the CFConfig one is for configuring. If you're using Command Box to launch your CFML servers, you can configure them using CFConfig. And then the .env one allows you to set environment variables and stuff like that. So these are modules that you almost always need installed, but you were having to do that manually. But now it just comes bundled automatically, and it automatically updates them when you start the CLI, which is pretty cool. And he had some other really cool stuff in there too, like
I saw the custom MIME types. I'm sharing my screen for those
yeah,
who are watching, but yeah, custom MIME types is kind of interesting too. Because remember, if you want to, you can use Command Box as its web server. You don't have to have something like Nginx and whatever in front of it. So stuff like the MIME types, it wasn't configurable before without having to go crazy in your web XML file and everything. So this allows you to get in
yeah.
there and nice user interface to get in there and change those types of settings. So
Yeah, I really liked that he added the ability to customize or override the MIME types by editing your server.json file.
yep,
So I thought that was pretty cool. And then the other thing that he added that was super cool was the you can now sync any of your configuration and module settings with ForgeBox. So if you've got an account with ForgeBox, you can actually synchronize all of your configuration settings and push them up to ForgeBox. And that way, by doing that, if you're working with Command Box on multiple machines, you can keep all of your configuration and modules in sync across all the different machines, and you don't have to spend any time, doing any sort of setup or re-downloading stuff. It just handles all of that for you. I thought
yep,
that was super cool.
yep. There's some
Um,
REPL improvements too, and yeah, case sensitivity of the web server, more support for different cert files as well.
yeah.
Man, just tons of stuff. I mean, go read the notes. Like, we can't sit here all day because, if it was Brad, he would. But we got other stuff to cover here. So, but
Great
yeah,
job, Brad. It's
yeah,
an awesome release.
yeah, lots of stuff in there. So, again, go check it out. We do have a bunch of videos up on CFCasts, which we'll talk about here soon too. So, go check that out. And the docs, obviously. He's updating all the docs. He spent basically a day the other day just trying to get the docs and everything ready for all the things that had changed. So
Yeah.
plenty of stuff there. Cool. And then the other thing too is if you guys didn't hear, Lucy 6 beta is actually released, so it's out there. You guys can go play
Woo!
with Lucy 6, try it out, and then basically run all your test suites, get everything locally set up. Don't run it in production yet, but
I was just gonna say put everything in production on it.
yeah.
Dang it.
So go try it out, give them some feedback. Obviously, always lots of feedback involved when you're doing early releases, especially major. I mean, it's Lucy 6 is kind of like a rewrite, you know. So their major version is like basically like massive paradigm shifts is what I think Brad puts it. So like every 5.3, 5.4 is basically like a major version. So Lucy's version 6 is actually like a whole new rewritten from the ground up type setup. So very
Gotcha.
different, very cool, and that's why it's been a long time in the coming. So
I haven't checked yet. Do they have like a Lucy 6 docs site yet?
I
That's
haven't even
separate
looked,
from
to be
the old.
honest. I haven't even
Gotcha.
seen it. Yeah,
Have to check that out.
for sure. So go try it out. I know that obviously you'll find some bugs, but that's fine. Get it to them now, so that way when they do release, things will be better. I know we've been working on some of the Otis products, trying to get them tested. So definitely do all we can beforehand, because it's never good to have something released and then everyone actually start using it and everyone complains. It's like, well, why didn't you test it? So please do it. Use TestBox, automate all your tests, and that makes the job a lot easier.
It does.
Okay, next up, we have webinars, meetups, and workshops. And a little reminder, we do have an Otis event calendar for Google, so you guys can try and use that. We're trying to keep that up to date. And speaking of that, we actually have the Otis webinar on March 17th. We're trying to confirm the speaker and topic, so we'll get that out to you ASAP. We're just getting all the Zoom registration links set up. So,
We're keeping it super secret. It must be really good.
yeah, that's what we're going with. So, but yeah, so none of it. Actually, I think Hawaii had a topic. I just didn't see it in the right spot. So I think they've got Jim Priest is going to be talking on Docker at the Hawaii meetup on the 15th as well. So I'll have to
Okay.
find that. I think there's a meetup.com link. So I will try and get that and put it in the show notes. Sorry, everybody. But I think he's going to be redoing that one here. Last month they had to cancel. So the 10th. I'm sorry, John. Thank you for confirming. So the 10th. So a couple of days. I think that's Friday. Yeah, so Friday the 10th. Do you have the time too, John, while you're in the chat? Just so we can tell everybody.
We'll get it directly from the source. There
Yep,
we go.
exactly. Perfect. Okay. So 12 p.m. Hawaiian time. They're 2 hours behind us, I think. So that's 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. I think that's right.
Math is hard. I'll have to Google it.
Yep. Anyway, we'll put the show notes out. We'll post them up, so you guys should be good to go. And John's usually pretty good about tweeting it out. I just must have missed that tweet when I was going through my list today. Sorry about that. Okay, next up, CFCasts. So CFCast.com, our premium video training system, and we got lots of cool things planned for that too. But
Yeah. I
what do we
can
got?
confirm that we've got at least a couple series that are in the works that haven't been even released. One of them is I'm doing. So this every time I get on the podcast, it's a reminder to I really got to get that done. But we have some recent releases. One is mastering Command Box 5 or yep, Command Box 5. We've got one new video there and we'll be posting it in the chat here. Looks like there's something about inline tab complete.
Yep, that's the
Was
video.
was it a video specifically for that feature?
Exactly. Yep.
Got it.
So yeah, Brad did all the videos and we finally got them scheduled into March. So we got this week. You should see a few more coming for that too.
Nice. We've got the 2023 ForgeBox module of the week series, and we've got that posted. And we've also got the VS Code hint tip and trick of the week series. So we've got another video there as well. So be sure to check those out.
Yep.
And I think, do we still have a bunch of even the videos that Brad's done? I think we've got
Yeah.
those coming too.
Yep,
Yeah.
we should be good. I said we just started scheduling them again for March. So we had one today, we got another one Wednesday, Friday, and then next week we'll see Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we're getting them all added back in. Brad's finished polishing those and putting the descriptions in there, so we're getting them added to the site. So more coming, and then obviously we got a few more things that are in the works, but lots of them coming from Brad soon. And like you said, there's Daniel's working on some content box ideas, and Eric with his Cold Box Elixir, you with your CB Wire, lots and lots of stuff coming. But right up, Brad is going to be giving you lots more videos, and a lot of them are pretty cool. I haven't even seen some of them, so some of them are new, some of them are just like touch-ups and updates. So it's always good.
Where's your videos, Gavin? Where are they at?
I had a bunch of videos, but I did so much stuff last year that I'm trying to catch up on all my client work and everything. And there's 3 or 4 other people working on series, so we'll get some of those out. So
just had to bring the heat.
Yep, it's okay. So next up, we have some conferences and training. And one of the first ones up, we have GitHub Galaxy. So using more and more GitHub lately with all the GitHub actions and everything. So that'll be a good one. So March 28th, 2023. Save the date for a global enterprise event focusing on improving efficiency, security, and developer productivity. So I guess this used to be called GitHub in Focus, which I never heard of that one either. So maybe it's too enterprisey for me.
I hadn't either. But yeah, apparently they renamed it.
Yep. So basically registration is coming up soon. But go to galaxy.github.com for more information. So that link is in the chat.
Nice.
And then DevNexus.
DevNexus coming up April 4th through the 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is a huge conference down there. And they cover all kinds of stuff: Kubernetes, Java, software architecture, Kotlin, performance tuning, all kinds of stuff. So you can check out that at devnexus.com and get more information.
Yep. And at the same time, they actually have CF Summit East. So that's Thursday, April 6th, and then they also have a training beforehand. I think the certification is on, I believe, the 5th. So if you want to do the Adobe Cold Fusion certification, which they offered in Las Vegas, the new one, so they're having that on the 5th. But on the 6th, from 8 to 4 p.m. at the Marriott Marquis in Washington, D.C., complimentary breakfast lunch will be provided, and that leads right in perfectly, because right before the certification training, we have another training, right?
We do, yeah. So it's before CF Summit East, and it's with Luis Majano, the creator of ColdBox, and he will be leading a workshop that's a deep dive into Cold Fusion MVC for Dummies. I think that might be the name of the session too. But it's going to be a workshop that has, some theory in it, some hands-on coding, best practices, and to just cover some tools that you might need when you're working in your MVC-powered applications.
Yep. And so, with Luis, there always comes a lot of theory, but these workshops are very hands-on basis as well, too. So you'll learn the best practices. And, these workshops are really coming along nicely, and so if you guys haven't been to one, or if you want a refresher, this will be good for you. Okay, we also have some VS Live. So, VS Live, Vue.js Live. Wow, I need to drink some more caffeine this morning.
No, I actually read it the same way you did. So.
Oh, okay. Good to know. So that's the one that's in May 12th and 15th, and that's online and in London, UK. So May 12th is in person in London, and then the 15th is the repeat online. And so they got tons and tons of great stuff there. A lot of things going on in the Vue world. If you want to look up more, Vue has conferences every these days. And then if you guys know of any other ones like React or whatnot, we can put them on the list too. But most of the people we seem to talk about it all talking Vue these days. So
yeah.
So not saying we hate React. We don't hear about them because not as many people are telling us about them. So just had to put that in there. But then May 17th through the 19th, 2023, Into the Box 2023, the 10th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the conference is going to be held in the same hotel we had last year, which was amazing. Great
Yeah,
food,
it
great
was.
location. The rooms are so nice, and then we have some different things going on there, right? So we're mixing things up a little bit more this year. Obviously, we'll have a mariachi band, which you know expect from Into the Box, but we're gonna try and
That's
do a little
required at
more.
this point.
Yeah, for sure. But we're trying to actually do something different where we can make that night a little bit special. So so you have to come check it out. Really, the 10th one is going to be awesome, and then we're mixing things up. So we have the workshops like usual the day before, and we've got the first few added already on the website, and you can find out more as we add them on intothebox.org. But we also have these special hands-on sessions. So we're gonna have 2 tracks. There'll be some hands-on sessions which are like basically deep dive. So you can go to track 1 or track 2, or you can go to like a hands-on, which would be like a 2-hour hands-on. So we'll have those as well as the normal sessions on the actual conference day. So that's kind of cool. We're looking forward to doing that. And then again, lots of ideas going around about what we should do for Happy Box to make it more of a an all evening thing. Maybe some board games or other little hackathons or other things, not just dinner and drinks and mariachi band. So we're gonna try and step it up. So
Looking forward to it.
yep,
It's awesome.
very cool.
And as far as other ones we've got coming up, viewconf.us. That's in New Orleans, Louisiana, here in the U.S., and that is May 24th through the 26th. And we have I'm showing here a workshop day, May 24th. So is that a workshop day they've got?
Oh, they must have, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they do workshops in day prior or whatnot on these ones as well.
Gotcha. So yeah, there's a workshop day, May 24th, and then the May conference or the main conference is on the 25th and the 26th.
Yep.
And as we've said before, we've got CF Camp coming back as well. That is June 22nd through the 23rd.
Yep, and the call for speakers is only open until March 15th, so you got like 1 week if you want to submit for that. Make it over there to Germany. It's going to be a great event. Everyone's so excited to have them back, so that's very cool.
Is that in Munich?
Yep, Munich. It's at
Gotcha.
by the Munich airport, Freising, which is a little bit of a trip away, but still not too far away. And then if you want more conferences, we always say go to comps.tech. It's got a lot of great stuff out there. Huge list of conferences for almost every language community, online, offline, and all that. So, and then it's also a good thing to check. You may think some of the conferences that Cold Fusion have are expensive, but wait and see what some of the other prices are. So if you've ever done that and thought, I should go to a JavaScript conference and realize it's 4 times the price, you might appreciate the prices we have for other things. And obviously CF Summit even more so. Audis tries to supplement things, but Adobe's budget means that they can offer them for ridiculous pricing. So if you go elsewhere, it's a bit of a sticker shock, shall we say. So even if you're not sure if you can justify this to your boss, say, I could go to this one instead, and then they they might be more willing to send you to the cheaper Cold Fusion conferences. But anyway, moving on. So our blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. We got a few from our most diligent, blogger. I was trying to think of a good word for it, but nope, it's not happening today. So Ben Adele's got quite a few today. So you want to tell us about the first few?
You guys are not going to believe this, but Ben has released some more blogs. But no, it's he's still blogging about Turbo and Hotwire, and which is a really cool framework that you can implement into your CFML apps to bring some reactivity into them. So if you're wanting to, kind of create modern sort of UI interfaces and stuff, you can bring something in like that. And one of his blogs was about transcluding a form into a turbo frame. So he always posts the video recording with his blog post, which is super helpful. And I was watching it before we jumped on here, and he was just kind of showing how you can take a form and, with Hotwire, you can do a response in the background and then you can do a lot of things with it. You can update the form, but then also update different sections of the site using Hotwire. So check out that blog. It's got
Yeah.
some super cool stuff there.
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought about the name transcluding. Is that a term that these Livewire, Hotwire type things are using for sort of like almost like side including forms, or is that
I
something?
actually never heard that before, so
Okay, me neither. That's
it's
why I was
either
curious.
I'm out of the loop or Ben made it up. So I'm not sure.
Or it's a Hotwire thing, yeah. Or turbo wire, yeah. Well, turbo Hotwire uses turbo frames. See, I'm always getting confused with this stuff. So I watched most of that video too, but then I went to the next blog post. I saw more videos. I'm like, I'm gonna have to save this for later homework. So, because
Yeah.
yeah, obviously I worked with you on a top secret project this week or last week at our oldest retreat. So I was playing with CB Wire and actually trying to use it, try to figure out how it differs and changes between things. So I'm like trying to learn CB Wire as well as compare it to other languages like that Ben's messing with. So interesting to say the least. But yeah, the
Yeah.
transcoding, I was like, that sounds like a new word. I'm like, wait, is this you know, just
It
for
might
this
be a
or?
new word. I think it's cool. We'll see. We'll see if it sticks.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And then next up, Ben Nadell had a sort of a non-Cold Fusion post, but talking about the user experience of disabled form buttons and how people can make a right mess of it. And sometimes you've all dealt with them, right? Where you have to do certain tasks on the page before the form submission button is available, so you actually click. And some of them require, to basically click in every field because if you have an autofiller, it fills all the form fields for you, and then you're like, wait a minute, why can't I submit this? And you have to go and delete the last character of your password and redo it, delete the last character of your username and redo it, just so that the form activates. And so you're just talking about how it's kind of annoying, and we should probably think about better ways to do it. And I mean, obviously, if you're using something like Vue or React, you can just make sure all the fields have a value, right? They're reactive, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the easier way. But yeah, so that was just a soft skills type, you know, don't do it wrong. Basically, we can all do better. So go check
Yeah.
that one out. But
Yeah. He also did another one on dynamically adding stimulus controllers to static content with the Hotwire and Lucy. So this is kind of testing my own knowledge of Hotwire. I used it, you know, used it in passing. I will say that. And so I'm not totally sure on the stimulus thing, but there's another addition to his series on Hotwire. So be sure to check that out.
yeah, like some all these are like new words. I'm like, am I just not up on it, or is this just specific to this technology? Which
Yeah, I know it's a specific piece of the Hotwire stack, if you want to call it that. And there's several. So there's turbo frames, there's turbo streams. I think those all kind of fall under the umbrella of one thing called turbo, maybe turbo drive. And then I think stimulus is something that's outside of that, but also kind of included. And they all do different pieces to be able to build reactive apps.
pretty cool. And then guess who? Ben again. He had another one about rendering a persistent but dismissible banner using Hotwire and Lucy. So, you know, he's talking about when operating single page applications in Angular, quite often you have a banner persistent across the top of the page, you alert people and then they can dismiss it. And so basically he's doing the same type of thing with this. So pretty cool. Hey, the next one isn't Ben.
Does
The
their name starts with a B though?
Yeah, I know.
Brad
We've
Wood.
already talked about this guy, Brad. But
Yeah.
so we covered this already. But basically, we're just highlighting that the command box 5.8, 5.8.0 release is out, and the link is there. You guys can go get it, download it, use it. Um, so we don't need to repeat too much of that. And then
Yeah.
the next one is from Brian Riley, who talked about the vulnerability with Massa and Mira. So we'll just link that one again. And the next one is our favorite, Ben Nadell. Again? Tell us
Yeah.
about this one. Last one on
Styling
it.
submit buttons during form submissions with Hotwire and Lucy. So I'll be honest, I did not get to review this beforehand. I'm reading the notes here, but it looks like the progress bar may be rendered. Let's see. When you submit a form in a Hotwire enhanced app, several things happen. The progress bar may be rendered. The request takes a while. And it looks like I'm guessing that maybe he was dealing with some styling issues with submit buttons. I will say that when you're dealing with these technologies that are so these are HTML over the wire sort of technologies, which means that it changes things a little bit where maybe you have a user form and they're filling it out, and when they click submit, instead of it sending a post request and refreshing the whole page, it actually does it in the background using XHR and Ajax. So, and then what we return from that call in the background is HTML. And so that's why we call it HTML over the wire. But what I will say is that there are some, that changes how the DOM is rendered. And, you can find some kind of surprising things that you might expect to work that might not just work right away unless you tweak it a little bit because of how, these HTML over the wire things work. Because HTML is being returned server side, and then it's re-rendering it on the page, and so sometimes things can happen you might not expect. So I'm thinking it might have something to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you can do stuff like when you click it, you can show a progress bar, or you can get information back. Instead of disabling the button, maybe you'll change it to have an icon where it's spinning so that you submitted it. So lots of different things in here. But I thought it was interesting about Turbo. They return Turbo stream data, which is basically, it's like XML that says this is an action, do this action. This is another type of action, do this. So when you get it back, it's like it's got XML stuff, which is basically telling Turbo what to do on the front end after something's done.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can create like content areas and say, here's like here's a Turbo frame section of a page, and then if the HTML that's returned from that background request includes updates that match the ID that you created on the front end, it will just seamlessly update it. And that's how. So CB Wire's different in how it goes about doing that, but it's kind of the same concept, really.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting when they sent stuff back. They could send back actions that the browser should take and stuff. I was like, whoa, yeah, it's very interesting. There's a lot to it. These are like new worlds we're living in here. So, thanks Ben for blogging on it, and it's good to compare. So, very cool. Okay. So next up we have our jobs section, CFML jobs, and we highly recommend you go to getcfmljobs.com if you're looking, or even if you want to list them. There's no new jobs posted this week actually, but if you are looking, there are quite a few that are previously there. I think there's over 50 listed over the last couple of months, and they also have jobs channels in the CFML Slack team and the Box Slack team. So if you're looking, do that, and let us know if you guys have something that's available that you wanted to have a new person on your team. We can talk about it on the podcast too. So always willing to help get more CFML jobs filled. So
definitely. Okay. All right. Looks like we've got ForgeBox module of the week.
Yep, and
this is really just Gavin playing to his audience here, but apparently it's CB Wire.
Well,
I did not have anything to do with that.
Well, I mean, I just thought it was obviously good that I looked at it, but I was like, when did we last actually publish this one? I'm like, the last time we mentioned it on the podcast was way back in like September of 2021. So it's been a long time. I think we were way back when you announced it. So I'm like, it hasn't been announced as a ForgeBox module for quite a long time, and you've done so much cool stuff with it. And so,
oh well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, CBWire, obviously it's a ColdBox module that makes building reactive, dynamic, and modern interfaces delightfully easy without leaving the comfort of CFML, but just because it does that does not make it like CF Client. Just want to let everybody know. But yeah, I mean, obviously you can tell us a little bit more about it.
It is not CF Client. It is not. But no, I'm still just excited, as excited, if not more, about CBWire. And also kind of the underlying engine that it runs on, which is Livewire. So it's similar in a lot of ways to Hotwire and some of those other technologies out there. It is HTML over the wire, but the way that it goes about it is different from those. And we put a lot of work into it. And also the underlying engine that it uses, we're waiting for a new rollout to happen any day now, but there's going to be some really awesome features that come out with it. So if you're especially if you're working, even well, new applications, it works great, but also legacy applications. If you've got like a legacy app that you're wanting to modernize, but maybe you don't want to take on having to learn, Vue.js or React and state management and all of those things. CBWire is a module you can just drop in and, make, just sprinkle it in wherever you need it. Maybe you want a form that automatically has automatic form validation without, using JavaScript. And so instant validation, as the user's typing in stuff into the form, it just automatically reacts and lets them know, hey, that's not an email address, fix it, that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's what CBWire is. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can find that on ForgeBox. You can download it there, and we also have, I'll post it in the chat here, the link to the docs.
Yep. Yeah, the docs are great. The examples he has up there are really cool. I mean, it's really good for playing around with it, and yeah, it's something that definitely can save you a lot of work, especially if you go front end and you need to create all the API stuff. You have to worry about like API authentication, having it as part of your CodeBox app. It definitely solves a lot of those things. So, I mean, Vue and React definitely have their place, but this can do a lot of things, and I'm, like I said, happily surprised every time I look at it, and I'm like, now should I rethink some of my choices? So,
I think that no matter what I do.
yep. Well, for sure. But it's definitely cool. So highly recommend it. Go check it out. Check out the examples. Check out the webinar Grant did from January. It's up on CFCasts as well. So very cool. Now, VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And this one I'm going to take because this was one of the ones that Grant showed me last week before I talked to him about GitHub Copilot. But you want to tell us about the extension you were using?
Yes, so in VS Code, there is an extension for Chat GPT, and as I'm sure many of you know, the all about all of the open AI stuff that's come out and how AI is getting ready to take over and come kill us all. They're gonna go full Terminator on us.
Yeah.
But no, there is a extension for Chat GPT. So if you have an account with OpenAI.com, you can integrate that into VS Code and you can send it commands. You can actually highlight pieces of code and you can ask it to explain the code. Maybe if you're dealing in like a legacy system and you've got a big function and you're just like, what in the world is this thing doing? You can right click, say, Chat GPT, explain this code to me, and it will explain it to you. And actually, I mean, from what I've seen, Gavin, it's pretty remarkable what it can do.
I mean, the explaining was really good. I mean, we even did some tags to script conversions, and some of them worked pretty well. Some of them didn't. And you showed me how if you add the right prompts, like I think the one we had was a query tag to query script. It was a little bit weird, but when you told it to do it with SQL execute, it got a lot closer. Still not perfect, but considering the amount of Cold Fusion code that's out there compared to other languages, it's still pretty surprising. And if you treat it like it's it's a pseudocoder, and then sort of a good starting point or a way to explain code or document the code, like that's pretty cool. If you can take a function and say explain, summarize what this is doing, you can put that in your documentation and you're done. And just obviously fact check it, make sure it sounds like it's doing it right. But yeah, I mean, it can work with the 3.5 models from ChatGPT. It's pretty slick what it can do, and
yeah. We don't have it in the notes here either, but Gavin opened my eyes to using GitHub Copilot inside of VS Code as well, and it's kind of the same thread. It's been pretty remarkable what it can do. A lot of code completion. You're sitting there typing code, and it just offers up a suggestion. And I've been very surprised at how right it is. About it's learning as you're going, and it's just some super cool stuff we're running into. So
yeah, I like this one too because it's more of a question answer format. So this one you could ask to summarize. I mean, GitHub Copilot, when you type, it gives you some auto suggest, but if you also open up the tab, on that. There's actually a whole bunch of stuff that it's considering, but isn't good enough to just prompt for you to autocomplete. But you can go look at some of the other recommendations and some of the other things. So it's all pretty cool. So anyway, we thought we'd jump on the bandwagon there. And like I said, I hadn't even seen that one. I used Copilot, but I hadn't seen the ChatGPT just question answer format, and thought it was pretty cool. So we're sharing with you guys. So go check that out.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we want to thank our, what I call them, Boxtacular Patreon supporters.
Yes.
So these individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives to ensure that the great tools like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all the other boxes and other things we work on get all the development they need, and helps fund the cloud infrastructure that we run on. As we mentioned before, go to patreon.com/ordersolutions to find out more about the different levels and those goals.
Yeah, and don't forget too, we have annual memberships, so you can pay for the year and save 10% on those. So that's great for businesses. And we've got bronze packages and up, and I think now you get a ForgeBox Pro and CFCasts subscription as a perk for your Patreon subscription there. And that's on all of the bronze packages and up. Is that right, Gavin?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and all Patreon supporters, you get a profile badge on the community website. And you also get a private forum access on the community website. So if you're needing help with anything, you can post them there. And our Patreon supporters also have their own private channel in our Box Team Slack. So we've got an area in Slack where if you're running into any issues, just need any sort of assistance, we're always there and available when and if you need us.
Yeah, hopefully we can point you in the right direction, or if there's something special you want to ask for, something you guys are looking at, just you get a little bit extra special attention in there. But yeah, just little things we're trying to do to make it worthwhile as being a perk, And then obviously, if you guys got ideas or stuff, bounce them off us. We're always sort of curious what else we can do to make your life as a Patreon better, and obviously improve the community too. So
yeah.
But community.ordersolutions.com is where you should be going for, finding all this information, chatting up. We highly recommend you join that too. So please do that. And remember, the good thing about that is that it's Google search indexed, and things last longer on there. Slack messages disappear pretty quickly, so it's nice once we have a good complete answer to go post it there, even if you had the conversation on Slack. But yeah, highly recommend using the forum. But
yeah, there's definitely some good stuff in there.
Yep. So let's thank our top Patreons. So our top ones include John Wilson from Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, and Jordan Clark.
Yep, and we've got Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, we've got Dean Monder, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim.
Yep, so great little list there, and we have a lot more Patreon supporters, but we're only showing the top supporters. So thank you to all of the supporters not listed there. If you go to the About Us on the About Us / sponsors on the About Us site, you can see the full list. We'll keep that updated as we add more Patreons. So if you guys want to join us, patreon.com/ordersolutions. And thanks everybody for joining us in the chat. And and David, I will mention the Orders D&D session as a possible Happy Box edition, and we'll see what people want to do there. I'm sure there's a few D&D geeks in the group. So you know what? The coolest thing, the ChatGPT can actually be your dungeon master. There's actually people playing D&D with. They can create the stories and keep track of the stuff and actually be your dungeon master. So
you're not kidding. You've already seen this. People are doing this
on the Working Code podcast. They were talking about Tim Cunningham was talking about how they're using ChatGPT to be the dungeon master, and you have to prompt it the right way. But yes, they can.
That is amazing.
So pretty funny. Anyways, you guys have a great week. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.